everyone. Just gonna wait a few minutes. Hello, hello. Hi, it's Jamie from the CoEdition team, and today we are going to be doing... Hi, Eliana.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. You look gorgeous.
Thank you. So do you.
Oh my gosh, I love your earrings.
Oh, thank you. You know, just a little something, something.
Yes, a little something, something. I'm so happy you could do this today. This is going to be so much fun.
I'm so excited.
So we're going to be talking about limiting beliefs, but before we get into that, I just want to know a little bit about you. But before we even get into that, I wanted to let everyone know how we met.
Yes.
So we both live in Minneapolis right now, and we met doing a fit modeling session,
We
right?
did, yep.
Yeah, so right away I knew that I loved you. I was like, she's so cool. I want to be friends with her.
It was so funny because it was just this awkward, like it was just you and I in like this conference room. But it was just like we were off the bat, just like so sweet to each other. And I was just like, oh yeah, we're gonna be cool.
We're good.
Yep.
So, okay, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about Eliana, and then tell us a little bit about the work that you do.
Yes. So Eliana, me, I moved to Minneapolis from Puerto Rico. So I identify as Afro-Latina. I'm Dominican and Puerto Rican, and I am someone who, since I was a child, I had very lofty, big dreams. But I didn't always feel confident enough or worthy enough to even pursue my dreams because of a lot of things that like society would tell me about my size, about the way I looked, about my hair being too kinky. So for a long time, I believed that stuff. And then I just got to a point where I was like, I'm going to live my life the way that I want to live it. And I'm going to always make sure that I find joy in everything that I do. And so around that time is when I decided, hey, you know, finance, corporate, great job it's great, but it's not for me. And so I started taking steps towards pursuing things that really moved me, things that really brought me joy. I actually decided to do the very things that scared me because they were the things that when I was a kid, I used to like imagine like how amazing it would be to do that, to be a model, to be an actor, to sing, to dance, to do all of these things. So I did. I quit my corporate job. And so, you know, now I am a full-time self-employed on-camera talent. I also do a lot of public speaking. I'm very passionate about women empowerment. I'm very passionate about inclusivity in fashion and life, racial, around all spectrums of everything.
You are like the complete boss lady.
And
I think that's why I liked you right away. I was like, yes, she knows what she wants. She goes after it, and that's that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. You know what I'm saying? Because it hasn't always been like, yeah, I'm gonna do it because I can do it and I believe in myself. It hasn't always been like that. So, so yeah. So now where I'm at now today is I do a lot of on-camera work. So I do a lot of plus size modeling, a lot of commercials. I'm trained. I trained at the Guthrie for acting and drama, and I also did film.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did.
That's awesome.
And then I continued my studies with acting with a film acting coach, and so my ultimate goal is to be able to continue to use my voice and my image and everything about me to tell stories that are meaningful and to hopefully bring forth change through those stories. So. Yeah.
I love that. That is amazing. So today we're going to be talking about limiting beliefs.
Yes.
And before we talk about that, I wanted to kind of read what I found the definition of limiting beliefs was.
Yes.
So a limiting belief is a state of mind, conviction, or belief that you think to be true that limits you in some way. This limiting belief could be about you, your interactions with other people, or with the world and how it works. Limiting beliefs can have a number of negative effects on you. So I wrote down some examples of limiting beliefs. I actually saw a list of like the top limiting beliefs, and these are a lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm too old. I'm not smart. I'm too heavy. It's selfish of me to want more. I'm not educated enough. All the good ones are taken.
Yep.
So, there we go. So why don't you tell me, what have been some major hurdles and limiting beliefs you've had to overcome as a plus-size Afro-Latina woman, as an entrepreneur, as a producer, as a model, as an on-camera talent, as all of that? Because we've all have had limiting beliefs.
Yes.
Everyone has.
Yes.
So why don't you tell me about your experience with that?
Yeah. So I think the first one that comes to mind is something along the lines of I can't do that, right? I can't do it because I don't look like what they're looking for. And when you think of me, and I don't know if you guys can see it, I'm really big on vision boards. And so this year I did a vision board where I actually put a picture of young me up there. When I was
I love that.
yeah, when I was in I grew up in Puerto Rico, and I obviously walk into school every day. I was 10 shades darker. My hair was 10 times bigger because of the humidity and the heat. And I had really big dreams about being on camera, about being on stage, I would even act like I would line up my dolls and act like I had a talk show, you know, and stuff like that. And, but quickly society, even family, even people that I knew would be like, you can't do that. Like, you have to lose weight. Like, you're too big, you know, or, you know, your hair is too kinky, so you have to straighten your hair. So those things that were kind of given to me, I kind of internalized, and I started to believe them, you know. And so for a long time, there were things that I really wanted to do, and I just didn't feel that I was worthy. It wasn't that I didn't feel I was capable, because I was like, I can do anything, but it was like, I can do anything but that, because I don't look like what they're looking for. And, you know, they're probably gonna make me lose weight, or they're gonna tell me I'm too big, because it did happen when I grew up dancing. I used to choreograph dances all the time, and dancing is huge in Puerto Rico. And so like we'd have these huge like talent shows in my school, and I kind of always used to get like the underdog dancers, because all the like skinny girls would go be on a team. And I kind of had to deal with that. And I was big. Like I was like, when I was like 12, I was like 5'9" and like a size 15. Like I was the big haired girl in the back of the classroom in Puerto Rico. People are shorter and just smaller in Puerto Rico. So I was just like this big girl.
But your presence was known. You were like,
yes,
I'm here,
yes.
you know?
And I was always cool, you know. So I think that, and to this day, you know, now that I'm taking risks, and I like to say that everything that I do, all of my entrepreneurial desire, everything that I'm focusing on really is to put a smile on that young girl's face, is to say, hey, like, you know, everything that you were told wasn't true. That whole like, I can't do that, or that's not for me, or I'm not for that, that's not true, you know. So and it comes up like in different areas of your life. And it also comes up in different areas of my career, you know, because that's just me talking about like my size, you know. I also experience a lot being Afro-Latina, and in the Midwest, people don't know how to like categorize me. So it's like, oh, is she Black? But she doesn't look Latina. And then in the Latino community, it's like, oh, but she's not Latina. And it's just like, but I am. Like, Spanish is my first language, and I grew up listening to salsa and merengue, you know what I'm saying? And so constantly feeling like I can't go for roles that are for Latina women, you know. And
that would be a struggle. You didn't feel like the people would identify you as their own.
Exactly.
That would be definitely hard.
Right. And so it's kind of hard, because then it puts me in a position where it's like, well, should I, you know, apply for that role? Should I audition? Should I not? You know, and then almost kind of have to revisit my identity based on what the industry sees me as, which is not, it's just a weird place to be when you're a whole adult. So, yeah. And I think there's also limiting beliefs that I've experienced around money, right? Like, I think especially women, like we're, it's like, well, how dare you leave your secure job, right? How dare you like leave something that's stable and gives you benefits and stuff, because you should be lucky that you even have a job, because women just were able to start getting jobs not even a century ago, you know? So even that, like, I'm very audacious in my life, and I feel like everything that I do is an act of rebellion.
Yes. For me, there's two things that have really been hard for me. And I would say, number one, I'm dyslexic. And so for me, a limiting belief is always like, oh, they think I'm stupid. Oh, they don't think I'm intelligent,
Yeah.
or like, or I spelled the wrong there. Like, oh, they, you know, or like if I have to read out loud, or I have to talk in a meeting or something like that, I'm like, oh, they think I'm stupid. And that goes back to my childhood. You know what I mean? And that one's still something I work on constantly. You know, I'm like, no, Jamie, you are an intelligent woman. Like, speak up and don't worry about it, you know? But, and then of course, being comfortable in my own skin, that was one for a long time. And actually, until I started plus size modeling, I didn't really feel that I was beautiful until I started doing that. But that was a constant struggle for me. And I was always being like, oh, you're too big. You should look like this. I also have a theater background, so I was constantly hearing that, you know?
Yeah, I can
and when you're
imagine.
hearing it from other people, then you definitely are like, okay, like maybe it's true. Maybe I should lose weight, or I should, you know, not be this size. But I think that there's definitely been things that we've done to overcome these things or work on these things. What would you say are things that you've kind of done to overcome those limiting beliefs?
Yeah, you know, one thing that I put a lot of my time and effort towards was to, it sounds kind of silly, but was to kind of like date myself, was to really get personal with myself, right?
I love that.
Yeah, I did. I decided, like, one of the things that I experienced too, and just not necessarily knowing my worth and my value, was that I found myself in like a lot of toxic relationships. So I went through a point where I was like, okay, no more. Like, I'm gonna take all that energy and all that attention and all that distraction and put it back into me. And so I actually picked up a book called The Artist's Way, and one of the exercises that you do, it's amazing. One of the exercises that you do are morning pages. And so I've always loved to write. I've been writing since I was a little girl. I love the actual like process of writing, not just like, I can't like journal typing. I have to actually write it out. And that just became like my super weapon, like my everything, because through journaling, through kind of dump writing, I was able to kind of like see the things directly from my mind. And then I was able to be like, reading it after I had wrote it was just kind of like, oh man, like I really do believe these things. Like, and it was almost like I was able to give myself support and love and nurture myself. And I was able to identify where were the areas that I was not as confident, or where were the areas that I was believing those limited beliefs, because I would see them show up. I'd see them show up in my writing. I'd see them show up even in my job when I was in corporate. I'd see them show up in my lack of decision making, or my lack of going for things that I really wanted to do, or just in procrastination. So I started to pay attention, and I was just like, oh, there it is. There it is. I'm procrastinating because I don't believe that I can do this, right? So when you start dating yourself, you really get to learn your mannerisms. You get to learn like how you treat yourself, how you talk to yourself. And all of that to me was my process of overcoming and kind of breaking those barriers and getting over those limiting beliefs that really were controlling my life for a long time.
That is such a good thing, dating yourself. That is so, it seems so simple, but it's probably, you know, it's a hard thing.
Yeah.
For me, with the weight thing and like the body image thing, one of the things that I would do is like really put outfits together and make sure that I looked good and felt good. So I think that CoEdition's really given me that also, because I feel like it's really given me that, it's really up my game with fashion. And so I feel like when you look good, you feel good, you know?
And you do good.
So that was one of
So like you look good, you feel good, you do good, right? You do good by yourself.
Exactly. It all collates. And then the thing with the dyslexia, I think a really big thing for me was venting, talking to people when I did feel that, like finding those people that I trust. I talk to my mom 12 times a day. She's like, okay, Jamie, why are you calling again? But, you know, Jewish mothers and their daughters, you know. So she's someone that I really trust and I confide in. And so I feel like when you find that, that also really does help you. And whether it's a therapist or a family member or your best friend, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
But just finding those people to vent to and talk to.
And that's so important, because talking about on like realizing your circles, right? Like, are you surrounding yourself with people that are upholding those limiting beliefs? Are you surrounding yourself with people that believe those limiting beliefs? Because if everyone in your circle also believes those limiting beliefs, then how are you going to know anything different? So one thing that I was very conscious of when I started dating myself was it's not that I was like dumping my friends. I was just like, okay, I have these really great quality friendships and this is what I get from them. But what I need and what I'm missing is this. So I started to look for women that were comfortable in their skin, women that were entrepreneurs, women that had left their corporate jobs to pursue their dreams. Because here's another thing. I wasn't 21 when I left my job to pursue on-camera stuff, right? I'm in my 30s. So it's like, it's also, that's a huge limiting belief, is that I'm too old to pursue my dreams. Like, I should have done this when I was 21 or when I was 19, right? And then what you actually figure out is that when you have the right circles in place, the right networks of people in place, when you are engaging with the right content on social media. So something like CoEdition for me is key to women becoming more comfortable just with who they are. And because they're saying, hey, you can look cute too. You can look sexy too. We have clothes for you from this size to this size. And that's so important, because how many of us wore that same dingy little t-shirt because it's the only, you know, or that one pair of jeans that was like ripping in between the thighs because it was the only pair of jeans we could find somewhere that we thought we looked cute in. For so many
places to shop, you know, and now like CoEdition has over 120 different brands that we carry. So it's all right there.
Yeah. And it's cute stuff, you know, like it's trendy. So because that's another thing. It was like being plus size was just kind of like, oh, so I got to wear boxy old lady clothes because I'm a size 18. Like, that's not fair. That doesn't feel good. So
I know when I was like 14 and I was like a size 14, I would go to school. I looked a hot mess because there were no options. You know what I mean?
I just started dressing in boys' clothes, you know? So I was like, okay, well, men's clothes fit me, right? Even though they're like these baggy jeans, they're tight on me. So I'm going to wear them like some cute tight jeans, but really they were not meant to be worn like that. So it's just, you know, it's so funny when you step out of these limiting beliefs and you see just how much they control our lives and just how much they dictate our decisions and they dictate the way we feel in our own lives. I think when I started to realize that was when I was like, oh no, like I'm running from these. So right away, like dating myself and surrounding myself with people that supported me and that believed of a life outside of those limiting beliefs. And then literally curating my social media. So I don't think people talk about this enough, right? Is that you don't have to take whatever social media throws at you. Like, follow positive pages, right? Follow and support positive women that you identify with, or people that you identify with that resonate with your spirit, resonate with who you are and who you want to be. Like, I think that if we really start utilizing social media in that way, it can be really helpful content. And really inspiring content, you know. So that's one thing I did. I deleted all the skinny girls.
Right now, social media is so big right now. We find ourselves always like going to Facebook, going to Instagram, doing, you know, just for hours, TikTok.
Yep.
But you're right. If you really curate it to what you want to see and the people that inspire you, it can be really great for your soul. Yep. If it's the opposite, it can be really detrimental to your soul.
Absolutely. And that was the thing. I was like, listen, I got to get used to seeing girls that have rolls. I got to get used to seeing girls that have like a fupa, you know, and some cellulite, because I'm like, that's what I look like. And girls that have a little bit of a double chin and, you know, girls with big fuzzy hair like I have. That was so important to me because I didn't see it in my everyday life, especially being in the Midwest. Like, I was just kind of like, I felt like an anomaly here sometimes. So that was really important for me too. And to this day, I'm like, if something doesn't feel good when I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't need to follow this person or this thing. I'll go over here.
And the same with friends, you said, you kind of like, I did the same thing in my 30s. I kind of was like, okay, who's healthy for me? Who is not? Like, not that I was like cutting people out, but like, you know, I needed to do what was best for me to like be happy and,
Yep.
and have a positive life, you
Yep.
know, and sometimes, you know, that doesn't happen with your friend group,
Yeah.
you know, and so you really need to pick and choose who's really helping you grow as a person.
Yeah.
So when you left your corporate job, I'm sure you had some limiting beliefs.
Oh my God.
And what would you say? Maybe a lot of limiting beliefs. You were like, I can't do this. How am I going to pay this? How am I going to do this?
Yes.
Yeah. So what would you say to someone if they were a plus size Afro-Latina woman? What would you say to someone who was starting a new job, maybe wanting to be an entrepreneur, wanting to start their own business, or maybe starting something new, you know?
Yeah. The first thing I would say is be graceful and patient with yourself, right? Like a lot of us get caught up in one of the side effects of social media is that it's a results world, right? It takes you, it's a zoom fast forward into the results of something, and you don't get to see all of the iceberg that's under the water before you get to see the little peak over the water. So be patient and graceful with yourself. I think what's really important, again, getting back to the core of who you are, because once you know who you are, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, you know what drives you, you know what's important to you, what brings you joy, the closer you'll be to understanding what your purpose is in life. And I firmly believe that even though you might be doing something at the time, so let's say I had to stay in my job. Like I wasn't just like, oh my God, I'm gonna model and I quit right away. Like I did it for almost 2 years where I was like working my full-time job and like throwing in dentist appointments or physical therapy appointments or whatever to go to an audition, come back, right? Or like I'd be on set, like with my laptop working. You just kind of figure it out. But the reason you figure it out is because you know that you're worth it. Like you are worth it and you deserve figuring that out, because you don't have to stay stuck in something that doesn't work for you, that doesn't bring you joy, and that doesn't allow you to live the life that you envision for yourself. So if you can use one thing as a means to get to where you want to go and just enjoy that process, like I just feel it won't be such an overwhelming thing to be like, oh my God, I hate my job, I hate this, or I really want to do that, I don't know what to do. It's just like, hey, I'm doing this for right now. What I did, I was like, let me stop going to the bar and the clubs, okay? And let me take that money and start paying for acting classes, right? Start paying for situations where I could get comfortable being in front of the camera, right? Because I knew that that was a direction I wanted to head, but it wasn't a decision that happened overnight. I took acting classes and on film classes and all of that for a whole 1.5 years before I even submitted to auditions, submitted to agencies, and then got agency representation. So so
you were really patient.
I was, because I was so afraid financially. I was like, I can't leave my job. Like I had, you know, when I was in college, I racked up like credit card debt. I had student loans. I had a car note. I had a super high car note. Like there were so many things that were making me. So I was just like, okay, it's too overwhelming for me to think right now I'm going to make a drastic decision. So what works for me? And what worked for me was to say, this is what I'm going to do. Like poquito a poco is what we say, right? It's like little by little, little by little. And then it just got to a point where I didn't even have to make the decision. The decision was made for me. I was approached by a home shopping network company that offered me a full-time job as a TV host. And that was when I left my corporate job. You know, so this whole time I was like, oh my God, I have to get ready to leave.
It's so funny because I thought you left before that, but I didn't know that you left. And so it did force you.
It did. Yeah, it was like life was like, okay, you're taking too long. So I'm gonna make this decision for you, right? And ultimately I ended up making another decision to part with that situation because it just wasn't gonna take me in the direction I wanted to go. But it was just a way for me to get out of being stuck and thinking that I couldn't do it. And here's the thing is that when I left the TV opportunity, the shopping opportunity, I was like, they wanted me to come back to my corporate job. And I was just like, you know what? I went through all of that. I built myself up. Like I have to give myself the opportunity to figure this out and be an entrepreneur and be an artist and be an on-camera person, just not in that environment because
that is such fate.
I deserved it. Like I was just like, I deserve it. And everything about what I was doing was for that. So I just felt like, why would I take 10 steps forward to then take 20 steps back, right? All because I'm afraid of like money. And so, and I think that especially being of color, being a woman, like that money mindset is something that we're constantly having to work on, because that's a huge limiting belief in our community, you know, is that we have to take whatever comes our way. And it's like, no, I have the power to make opportunities for myself. And that's what I put all of my energy into. I was like, okay, I'm available. It's audition central. I don't got to make no fake dentist appointment. I don't have to make excuses as to why I was late. I don't have to bring this laptop to set. It was just like, I'm here. I'm available.
So I think it was really like working hard, letting, like, it does take time to build, and kind of faith, and kind of listening to what's happening, you know?
Yeah, I think that, you know, as women, as biological, with women that identify biologically as women, right? We have this gift of like intuition. It's something that is in us. And so for me, it's really because I was like dating myself and kind of getting really in tune with me, and having a faith-based system, whatever that system is. It doesn't have to be religious, right? But something outside of yourself that you can practice that faith on, that really helped me be like, yeah, you can do this, you know? I don't know how I would have done it without being able to tap into my intuition, to listen to my gut when my gut was telling me, yeah, do this, or no, don't do that. And then also having a faith-based system. So for me, it was always just like that journaling, and like I would write my prayers out like in my journal. After my entry, I would write like, you know, what I felt I needed help with, what I was scared. And here's the thing, it's like, just like how when you're a kid and you think there's something in the closet or under the bed, and then, you know, you just say, oh, it's just a shoe, or it's just a this, all of a sudden it's not as scary, right? Or it's like when you see like a mouse, or like a bug or something, and you don't know where it went, you're like, oh my God, where did it go, right? But then you see it and you're like, oh, it's right there. Okay, I know what I need to do. It's the same thing with your own life. It's like, once you call out your fears, when you're like, I'm afraid of ending up broke and having to go back to working at McDonald's and, you know, selling and like turning in my car. Once you call out all those like really, really deep fears that we have because of these limiting thoughts, all of a sudden they're not as scary. Because you're like, okay, well, if that happens, here's the solution. You just don't give them so much agency over your life. And so
that's so smart.
I mean, it's not easy. I'm over here talking about it, but look, it's like it's
I think it's a working progress for all of us.
Yes.
That was kind of my next question. Are there limiting beliefs that are kind of a working progress for you? Yeah. And what would they be? I mean, I know we all have them.
For me,
like I said, mine would be the dyslexia thing. It's still something that, like, it just gets me every time. It doesn't matter when I have to read out loud, when I have to speak. I can come and I can host and I can do things like that. But as soon as I have to talk about like anything having to do with work or things like that, I kind of choke up, or you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're gonna think I'm so stupid, you know, that little voice in your head that you have to be like, no, unruly.
Right. Like, no, you shut that noise off. So
shut it off, shut it down.
Yeah, one limiting belief that has been showing up a lot for me, especially right now where I'm, you know, my career has grown, like both of you have kind of grown at the same time, right? And there's like these transitions that you go through when you grow. It's like what's been coming up for me is like, oh, like, who do I think I am? Like, am I really gonna like up and leave my comfortable life in Minneapolis to go to Los Angeles and like think that I'm gonna go over there and make something of myself, right? That has been coming up for me a lot. And then in parallel with that is me feeling that I have to choose between being an entrepreneur or being an artist or being like a wife. I'm not a wife, y'all, but but you know, it's almost like I feel that in some way, shape, or form, well, I'm never going to find love and I'm never going to find a husband or be able to have children because I'm an entrepreneur or because I choose to pursue my purpose. And that those two things for me have been like really really coming up. And so I have to every day practice kind of shutting off the noise, because
well, I'm here to say that to that noise, no, you can't have it all. Sometimes it's a juggling game, but
yes,
I think that you truly can have it all.
yes,
And also, both of us are kind of going through big transitions. We were talking about this the other day.
yeah,
We're both making big moves.
mm-hmm.
And so that is scary, going from your comfortable life to something new, and you don't, it's the unknown, you know?
Right. And it's not because something is
scary.
forcing us to do it. It's not like there's an inciting thing happening. It's just like us being like, we deserve to experience this evolution and this growth. And if we've been able to do what we've done here, then imagine what we can do, you know, where there's even more opportunities for us, right? Like, just giving us that opportunity to really see ourselves at that level. I think it's really beautiful. And it's something that a lot of women, we shy away from, because it's just kind of like, be happy with what you got, yo. and just keep your head low, and you know, and I'm just not like that. I'm like, nope. And so
I know I'll be like, I don't want to do it, and I'm shaking, but then I go and I do it. And I'm just like completely scared, like deer in headlights, but I'm like, okay, like Nike said, just do it.
That whole
or die.
There's a really right. There's a really popular quote that floats around in my Instagram, at least, where it's like, do it afraid, you know. So it's like, or the things that scare you, those things that make you like shake at the belly, you know, like those are the things you're supposed to run towards. And anybody would be like, you're nuts. Okay, like why are you running towards Freddy Krueger if he scares you, right? And it's just like, because like the whole point is to get over the fear of what Freddy Krueger stands for. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's
exactly,
it's kind of crazy, but I don't think it ever ends. I don't think overcoming limiting beliefs, or I don't think growth or evolution is something that you reach or achieve. You know, it's not a destination. It most certainly is this kind of ebb and flow journey that you just have to give yourself the permission to experience.
I know. And I'm really bad at that because I like to control those things. I'm like, okay, well, can this like hurry up? Like, can I get to the end already?
I know. Yeah. I'm pretty good.
Know, but
I don't know. I'm not controlling in that way. I'm pretty good at like going with the ebb and flow. I just get distracted easily. So I'll be like, ooh, look at this glitter over here. Ooh, look at that over here. And so I have all these like
I get that too.
I got all these
I'm with you on that one.
half traveled journeys. And I'm just like, Eliana, okay, let's practice on like saying you're gonna go and getting there. And then, you know, but all of us have those little quirks about us, and that's what makes us like who we are, and what makes our journey so unique. That's also something I wanted to bring up, is it's like a huge limiting belief that a lot of people have. It's like, oh, it's already been done, or somebody else is already doing that, or there's already another brown Afro-Latina girl with big curly hair. There's already another plus size Jewish model with long brown hair and hazel eyes, right? And it's just like, if we believe that, we will never have diversity or like inclusion, right? And the most important thing to remember is it's like, it doesn't matter if you and me, Jamie, like literally do the same thing, literally T to the T, it's always going to be different. And it's always going to speak to different people because of who we are.
And you're always going to bring something special, something different.
Exactly. So if somebody has an idea that you had and you're really adamant about that, and that's your passion, you go do that idea, because nobody is going to do it like you, because there's only one copy of you as you are in the whole entire universe, which to me is a very like cool and overwhelming concept, you know?
Eliana, you sound like my mom giving me a pep talk.
Really?
She says that. She goes, Jamie, there's only one you. Like, you're
God,
gonna be
that's
fine.
amazing. I gotta meet her. That's amazing. Yeah.
You're right, Mom.
I remember, so one of the things that I did is that I firmly believe in investing in myself as well. So I had hired like a life coach and entrepreneur coach, like back in the day when I was transitioning. And when she told me that, my whole entire world was like, you know, Mr. Crab and like the SpongeBob meme, that was me. I was like, what? I was like, you're so, like, I don't know why I had never been like, yo, absolutely right. Like nobody has walked life in my shoes. Nobody has been, you like my little walking. Nobody has been through exactly what I've been through. You know what I'm saying? Nobody has the exact same curl pattern as me or the same hand gestures or whatever. So like when she told me that, I was like, oh my God, that is crazy. And it really did like resonate with me. And so that was the beginning of me starting to like, well, let me dive into what this uniqueness about me is. And that's when I started to kind of date myself to get over those limiting beliefs, because I had a lot.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask you what's next for you, but we kind of already talked about that. You're going to LA, you said?
I am. I'm going to make the leap out west, which is very different for me because I'm a, you know, I'm an East Coaster in the sense that I was born in New York. I grew up in Puerto Rico and in Santo Domingo, which is Dominican Republic, and then
you were born in New York?
Mm-hmm.
What part of New York?
In Washington Heights. Like,
oh my gosh.
Yep.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
168 in Broadway. That's West Broadway. That's where I was born. And but I moved to Puerto Rico when I was young. I was maybe 4 or something like that. So I did kinder all the way through like high school almost in Puerto Rico, between Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. So all I knew.
So then when did you move here?
I moved here, it probably was like, I think it was freshman or sophomore year of high school. So I finished high school here, right in the middle of high school. I finished high school here.
That's scary.
Yeah, it was because it was culturally, it was a culture shock for me, right? And all I knew United States to be was New York and Miami. Like that's what I like. I was like, Minnesota. What the hell is Minnesota? So going west for me is,
that would be a culture shock.
Yeah,
because that's very different. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it was like, I was like at the beach the day before, and then I got here and it was like cold because it was like October or September or something like that, and it was already kind of chilly. And
so like 20 degrees.
So it was just kind of interesting. So now when I think about going to Los Angeles, I'm just like, nobody in my bloodline has done this. Like nobody in my bloodline has gone west, right? But yeah, my goal is to continue doing what I've been doing, the on-camera work, the modeling, the commercial acting, print work, all of that out west. And then one of the things that I'm very passionate about is storytelling through visual arts. So filmmaking is one of my like deep loves. And so during my last 2 years here, I focused on taking 4 of my own personal spoken word pieces. So they're my own personal stories, and I turned them into short films. So I created a short film collection while here that I will be releasing. I'll be having a premiere event sometime in the spring or summer here before I move to Los Angeles. And with that is the goal to be able to
miss it. So I need to see it.
Well, I think it'll be virtual. I think I'm going to go virtual with it. Cool. So anybody anywhere can see it, they can attend. Yes. But my ultimate goal is to put myself in an environment where I could also then transition into TV and film. Not only like telling stories via acting, but also eventually getting to the point where I can direct, produce, and tell our stories from like, you know, people that resonate with me and my experiences, and just be an amplifying voice for people that just stories that play at the strings of my heart and tell them on film or TV. So
you have such a strong voice for so many different communities. So it's really amazing. So I can't wait to see your work. I think it's going to be remarkable. I really do. Thank you.
It's going to be interesting because when I look at the trailer of my short film collection, it is very like drama. I mean, people will see me crying, like for real tears. And it's just a lot of like the pains and the things that I have been through, my things that I've had to overcome. And so it'll be interesting for people to see, because people are so used to, which this is who I am, right? I'm a very joyful person, and I get paid to smile and show my teeth and my big hair. But, you know, for everybody, there's that dichotomy of like, in order for me to get to where I am, right, who I present myself to be right now, like, here's all the things that I had to overcome. And I think in those stories is where like growth and evolution, and where society, like the heart of society is, and it is in those stories. And so I really want to have a career telling those stories, whether it be through acting or through directing and creating films.
That's amazing.
And continue to talk to people, because I love talking. So yeah, I see myself as like Oprah meets Issa Rae meets Queen Latifah. Like A little bit of
That's
everything.
A good combo.
So yeah. Is that possible?
That combo.
We'll see. Maybe I'll be the first to make it possible, I'll be like, maybe I'll get like Whoopi Goldberg, where I'll be an EGOT. I have an EGOT where I have one of every award.
From your mouth to God's ears. Let's read some of the comments.
Yes, I've seen them.
Eliana, I'm really bad at this part. I get really close to the camera.
You're like,
it doesn't always. Yeah, that's me. Because I can't see, and then so I'm gonna need a little help.
Wait, but I can't see them. Oh, there they are. Okay, let's see. Oh my God, you guys have been commenting a lot. Okay, hey twin. Okay, Jamie.
That's my twin. That's Kimmy. She's one of my best.
Love your hoop earrings, Jamie. Speak your truths. Yes, Francesca. We are smart. Yep. Love that book. Yes, someone knows about The Artist's Way.
Yeah, that's Francesca. She loves it. Yeah.
Love this discussion. Glad I tuned in. Yes, Judith. Thank you so much for coming. Okay. Keep man smooth. Love this. It's such a need of diversity. Jamie is so great making people comfy. Yay.
Yay.
Jamie's the best, you guys.
That's my friend.
Yeah. Jamie's one of the few people in the city. So think about it, right? Jamie and I's relationship could have went completely the other way because we are pretty much the same in the same category. So if I don't have a job, it's because Jamie booked it, or if Jamie booked a job, so it's like we usually don't get to work together.
We're so different, so you would think.
Right. But it's because of the size category that we're in. So it's like, I was telling someone last night, I was just like, no, girl, we're going to be friends. Like, I was like, ain't none of this, like,
that's how I feel.
You're my rival plus size model person. And no, girl, I love connecting with women and, just empowering each other. Like, that's really important for me. So that wouldn't have happened if Jamie wasn't as sweet as she is. One of you guys, when you get your show, I'm doing a skincare line. Yeah.
Who said that?
Women supporting women. We love to see it. Yes.
Yes.
Kim and Snoot, Team Us.
Oh yes. Yes.
Doing a skincare line. Do that skincare line. Yes. Yes. Do all those little ideas.
Oh yes, she has a line. She has coastal body sunflowers, and her stuff is so good. I'm telling you.
Okay.
And she's gonna. She wants to be on QVC selling it, and I know she will.
Yeah.
She's so good.
Yeah, we need more of that. More women develop products. More women owned everything. Like, I'm all for that, because I feel like we're still making up for time that we're not given at a certain time. Yes. That's another thing I wanted to talk about too. Like, I was going to bring up is that I think a lot of times when we think of ideas that we have, we automatically think that it has to be fully baked and we have to have it all figured out before we start actually doing things. And that causes a lot of people to just not do it. It creates a lot of anxiety. It creates a lot of procrastination. And then you just kind of start second guessing yourself. So literally what I tell a lot of people when they ask me to do like these workshops and stuff is just think about like, what's your why? Like, why do you want to do it? And then what needs to happen in order for you to do it? And what are 3 things that you have control of to do right now to start moving in that direction, right? When you break it down like that, is so much more achievable. And it's not this big thing that you're just like, oh, I have this idea, but I need to figure it out. I don't want to talk about it with anybody until I have it all figured out. And all figured out turns into years of a notebook that
it's like
never.
My mom the other day, she called me and she's like, Jamie, I have this and I have to do this and I have to do this and this and this, and she's like rambling on. It's giving me anxiety. I want to help her, but I'm like, you need to make a list. Make the list. I really think with that kind of thing, it's all about like breaking it down and making those lists and not just looking at the whole picture, but taking it day by day, section by section.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Thing by thing. And every little, it doesn't matter how small you think the idea is. If you thought of it, someone needs it, or someone is going to enjoy it, or someone is going to buy it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So no idea is not worth pursuing.
Oh, and one other thing I wanted to ask you was, as a plus size woman, I know like being an entrepreneur, that could be like, there can be so many doubts, just the way you look and like going in and like trying to sell yourself in a certain way or a product in a certain way. With what kind of advice would you give as far as that goes?
Yeah. I think that all boils down to confidence and just the body positivity that you believe in for yourself. And I always, that always comes back to like, I know who I am, right? And I studied myself, and I know that I could have one tooth in my mouth, and you know, and I still have, like, I can still come and be who I am fully and authentic. So I really do think that sometimes we focus a lot on how we look externally, but I firmly believe that if we work on what we feel like internally, the outside follows, you know?
Yeah, I totally believe it's the inside out.
Yeah.
I think beauty comes from the inside out.
Yeah.
Always.
So when I go into meetings, even though, yeah, sometimes I'm just kind of like, oh, you know, what are they going to think of me? Because there's certain perceptions about like plus size models or just plus size people. There's all this like, you know, what do you call it? Like, just there's a lot of negative stereotypes out there about plus size or like fat people, right? And so a lot of times I try to just undo that with knowing everything that I bring to the table. So this isn't about like, you know, me getting their business or whatever. It's just like, you're gonna get to have me on your campaign, right? Like you're gonna get to, you know, everything that I bring to the table. But again, like that only came after I really spent the time getting to know myself and really spent the time learning how to love myself. Because we can say we love ourselves, but if you don't know everything that you are, if you don't know all your strengths or your weaknesses, all your all the ways that you sometimes let yourself down, if you don't understand all of that, then you can't fully love and accept yourself. So I say to women that the first thing that comes to mind is how they see themselves or how they think they appear physically. I would say take that energy and shift it inward towards you and focus on everything that you bring to the table and all the beautiful magic that you have inside. Because once you let that shine, everything else, you just become an aura, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That is so beautiful. Okay. Well, Eliana, thank you so much for doing this.
Of course.
Like, I think that you gave us so many good things to like bring with us, you know, and about limiting beliefs, about just like loving yourself, dating yourself.
Yes. Yes. So one of my main answers.
Much.
You're welcome. Thank you. I love doing this. I think it's so special that like 3 years, for 3.5, probably almost 4 years now. Yeah, after we get to sit here and do this, and I appreciate you guys for having me. So thank you, and thank you everyone for attending. Everyone who's gonna watch this afterwards. You know, if you want to engage with me or whatever, you can. I think I have a Facebook page. I'm way more active on Instagram. So
and what is your handle?
It's Eliana Reyes. So here, I'll actually write it in the comment section so people can see it, and then I'll put my website in here too, so people can just kind of keep track of just like, you know, what I'm doing, because I plan to rebrand and then use my website as more of a way to like show what I'm doing, because you know, I be doing a lot, y'all.
She's a very busy boss lady.
Okay, wait.
Awesome.
I don't want to. Okay, my Spanish keyboard activated, so I was trying to do something in Spanish. Yes, but no, this was delightful. Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for watching. Yes. It's so much fun. This is the 11th episode of On the Plus Side. Thank you so much, co-community. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.